I everyone hope you all doing well. Well, we are all born into a story we didn't write. Before you ever had a choice, a script was already waiting for you. Written by your environment, your culture, your family, and your past. The moment you were born, that script started shaping your identity. It told you who you were, what was possible for you, and where your life was supposed to go. Some of us were born into love, encouragement, and support. Others were born into trauma, poverty, or silence. But either way, none of us wrote that opening chapter. We didn't choose the language we speak, the beliefs we were taught, or the names we were called. But here's the truth no one tells you. You don't have to stay in that script. You see, too many people live their entire lives acting out a role they never auditioned for. They follow rules they didn't agree to. They chase dreams someone else handed them. They avoid risks because someone told them they'd fail. They settle for relationships, careers, and lives that fit the story, not the soul. Let me give you a real example. There was a young man who grew up in a violent neighborhood. Everyone around him believed that his future was already written. Prison, gangs, maybe death. That was the script. But one teacher believed in him, gave him a book, sparked something. That kid was Denzel Washington. And he changed the ending. Or take Oprah Winfrey, born into poverty, abused as a child, told she'd never make it on television. That was the story the world handed her. But she tore that page out. She wrote a new one, and now she writes stories for the world. Here's the key. You can't control the beginning of your story, but you can choose who finishes it. The pain you were born into, it doesn't have to define you. The labels you were given, they don't have to stick. The story you've been told, you can rewrite it, starting today. But rewriting your story takes courage. It takes self-awareness. You have to look at your life and ask, whose voice is this? Is this truly my desire or someone else's expectation? Don't live your life like a background character in your own movie. Pick up the pen, reclaim the page, read the page. Decide how the next chapter goes. And remember, every powerful story has a turning point. Maybe today is yours. Because even if you were born into a broken story, you were also born with the power to change it. Your past may explain you, but it doesn't define you. The chapter you're in right now isn't the whole book. So if you're stuck, if you feel small, if you feel like life is already written, take a breath. Look around, then say it with me. This is my story now. I'm holding the pen. Let me know if you want us to go with it. Most people don't realize it, but their lives are being written by invisible authors. These authors don't sit at a desk with a pen in hand. They're much more subtle. Society, media, culture, teachers, and even family, they write their lines into your life through expectations, beliefs, and silent rules. You grow up thinking your goals are yours, but are they? Are you chasing that degree because it's your dream, or because someone said it's a safe? Are you stuck in a job because you love it, or because you were told to be practical? That's the trap. The most powerful influence isn't loud, it's quiet. It whispers things like, people like you don't do that, or this is just the way it is. And without realizing it, you start living by a script you never reviewed. Think about it. A young woman with a passion for art is told, you'll never make a living painting. So she becomes an accountant. Not because she loves numbers, but because someone else wrote her future for her. Or a boy is told to man up, hide his emotions, and never ask for help. So he grows into a man who feels isolated, thinking that silence is strength, not realizing someone else is writing his definition of masculinity. But here's the wake-up call. You can fire those invisible authors. You don't owe your life to a story someone else imagined for you. You owe it to yourself to ask, is this belief mine? Is this belief mine? Is this path mine? Am I living a story that's true to me or convenient for them? And it's not about blame. Our parents, teachers, or mentors often meant well, but meaning well doesn't mean writing well. Their fears, their limits don't have to become your fate. The good news, the moment you realize the script isn't yours, you get to edit it. Like the woman who left her corporate job at 40 to open a bakery. Everyone called her crazy until she found peace and purpose in the kitchen. That's not failure. That's authorship. Or the man who said a no to a 6-figure salary to pursue music. Not because it was logical, but because it was his truth. That's not a mistake. That's power. You are the only one who has to live with your story. So make sure it's a story worth living. Stop letting unseen hands write your life in pencil. Take the pen. Cross out what doesn't fit. Rewrite with bold ink. Because the most dangerous story isn't the one written by others. It's the one you never question. Today, question it. Today, rewrite it. And from this chapter forward, let the author be you. If you want to take back your story, there's one word that changes everything. Awareness. You can't fix what you don't see. You can't escape a cage you don't realize you're in. Most people live on autopilot, running on inherited beliefs, generational trauma, and outdated rules. They don't question the script because they don't even know it's a script. Awareness is the moment the lights turn on. It's when you realize, wait a second, I've been living a life that doesn't even feel like mine. That moment, that's the turning point. That's the moment you stop being the character and start becoming the author. Let me give you an example. There was a man who spent 10 years in a career he hated. He told himself it was irresponsible. He told himself he was unlucky. But one day, sitting in traffic, he thought, who said this is what success looks like? That single moment of awareness shattered the illusion. He changed course, took a pay cut, started his own business, and found freedom. Awareness doesn't always mean massive change. Sometimes it's subtle. It's noticing that your anxiety spikes when you talk to a certain person. It's realizing that your ambition is driven by fear, not passion. It's recognizing that your goals were never truly yours, that awareness becomes the pen in your hand. But awareness isn't always comfortable. It exposes the truth, and truth demands action. You'll have to face things you've ignored for years. You might lose people, old habits, and false identities, but what you gain is worth it. You gain clarity, you gain direction, you gain the power to rewrite. Every transformation begins with self-awareness, and awareness begins with a question. Is this me, or is this just what I've been told to be? Don't wait for a breakdown to wake you up. Choose to wake up now. Start paying attention. Start asking hard questions. Start asking hard questions. Start observing your life like an editor, not a victim. Because the story isn't set in stone, but you have to see the pages before you can change the words. So take a deep breath, look at your life, and ask yourself, do I know who's really writing this? Because once you become aware, there's no going back, and that is when your real story begins. When we talk about rewriting your story, some people think it means pretending the past didn't happen, that you have to forget the pain, the mistakes, or the parts of your life that went off course. But that's not what rewriting really means. Rewrite doesn't mean erase. It means redeem. You can't change the past, but you can change what it means. The most powerful stories in life aren't the ones where everything went right. They're the ones where someone fell, failed, and then rose again. They're the ones where the pain became the turning point. Let's take a look at Robert Downey Jr. in the 90s and early 2000s. His life was spiraling. Substance abuse, arrests, rehab, and a reputation that nearly ended his career. Many people wrote him off, but he didn't erase that chapter. He rewrote it. He took accountability. He got help. He didn't pretend it never happened. Instead, he let it shape his comeback. And today, he's not just Iron Man in the movies. He's proof that even the darkest chapters can be turned into redemption. Or take J.K. Rowling. Take Courage Rowling. Before she became the most famous author in the world, she was a single mom living on welfare. She'd been rejected by publisher after publisher. Most people in her life would have told her to be realistic. But she didn't throw away her pain. She used it. She put her fear, her depression, and her struggles right into the pages of Harry Potter. And that story, born out of suffering, changed the world. Here's the truth. The very parts of your life you're most ashamed of can become your greatest strength if you choose to rewrite them. You don't need a perfect past to create a powerful future. You don't need to erase the pain. You just need to give it purpose. Ask yourself, what if your biggest failure is just the setup for your comeback? What if the broken relationship, the bankruptcy, the rock bottom, isn't the ending? But the plot twist, your past doesn't disqualify you. It qualifies you. It gives your story weight. It gives your voice credibility. It gives your victory meaning. Because no one wants to hear from someone who's never struggled. They want to hear from someone who got knocked down and got back up. So stop trying to rip pages out of your story. They mean you've healed. So when you pick up the pen and start to write again, don't run from your past. Redeem it. Let your wounds become wisdom. Let your failure become fuel. Let your story, the whole story, become something beautiful. Because rewriting your story isn't about changing what happened. It's about changing what happens next. It's easy to say, take control of your life. It's inspiring to say, hold the pen. But here's the truth. Taking the pen means making bold edits, not small, polite changes. Not half-hearted tweaks, bold edits. The kind that make people uncomfortable, the kind that make you uncomfortable. Because once you realize you've been living someone else's story, the next step is to start changing it. And that's not easy. It's not passive. It requires decisions that feel like risk. It requires courage that feels like rebellion. You might have to walk away from a career that looks good on paper, but drains your soul. You might have to distance yourself from people who love the old version of you, but can't support who you're becoming. You might have to let go of habits that feel familiar, but are silently holding you back. It's not just about dreaming, it's about editing. And real editing takes guts. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't starting a new chapter. It's crossing out the one you're still clinging to. We all have a chapter we're afraid to edit, a role we've outgrown, a mask we're tired of wearing. But the longer you keep it, the longer you delay the story you were meant to live. You already know what it is. That part of your life that feels off. That voice inside whispering, this isn't it? That gut feeling that tells you there's more. You can't silence that voice forever. You can't fake fulfillment. If you want a different ending, you have to make different choices. Taking the pen means saying a no to what's comfortable and yes to what's real. It means changing your environment. Resetting your standards. Challenging your own patterns. It means you stop asking for permission. It means you stop trying to please everyone. It means you stop waiting for the perfect moment and realize the rewrite starts now. This is the moment where your story either stays the same or changes forever. And yes, people might not understand. They might say, you've changed. Good. You're supposed to. You're not a static character in a play. You're a living, evolving story. In growth demands change. Growth demands edits. So what do you need to cross out? What role do you need to stop playing? What chapter needs to end so something better can begin? Be honest, then be brave enough to act on it. Because taking the pen doesn't just give you the power to write, it gives you the responsibility to rewrite. No more waiting. No more blaming. No more pretending. This is your story. Make the edits that matter. Boldly. Decisively. Unapologetically. Because when you finally write the truth, that's when the story becomes worth reading. Let me know when you're ready for Keynote 6, the final one in the series. It's easy to believe you're just the main character of your life. But what if I told you that's not enough? Being the main character means life is happening to you. Being the author means life is happening from you. And once you realize that, everything changes. You stop living reactively. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop waiting for a someday. Instead, you start creating. You become the one shaping the story. The one who decides what this chapter means. The one who builds the plot, defines the mission, and sets the tone. But here's the catch. Most people never step into authorship. They live in response to fear, to pressure, to other people's opinions. They say things like, this is just how I am. I've always been this way. A life's just not fair. A life's just not fair. But those aren't facts. Those are scripts. And scripts can be rewritten. Let me show you just how powerful that shift can be. There was a man who, at age 30, realized he was deeply unhappy. He had the job, the house, the routine, but none of it felt real. One day, instead of blaming the world, he asked, what if I created this life? What else could I create? He sold everything, traveled for 6 months, and during that time, wrote the first draft of a book that became a bestseller. Not because the stars aligned, but because he aligned with his story. Another person, a young woman who had been told her entire life that she was too quiet to be a leader, began to question that narrative. She stopped asking for permission to speak and started coaching others on how to own their voice. Years later, she runs workshops that help hundreds break through social anxiety, all because she chose to become the author, not the character. Here's the truth. You already have the pen, you just haven't been using it. Look around at your life, your habits, your relationships, your schedule. Every one of those was written, some by others, some by you. But the question is, are you still writing, or are you just rereading the same chapter over and over? Being the author means giving up the excuse that someone else is in charge. It means owning your choices. It means asking yourself, what do I want to create? Who do I want to become? Or what story will I be proud to tell at the end of my life? You are not powerless. You are not stuck. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You are the sign. This is your moment. This is your plot twist. This is the chapter where everything changes. So write with courage. Write with fire. Write with truth. Because when you finally stop being just the character and start being the author, that's when the story gets unforgettable. Concepts,